Hello, welcome back to Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
I'm bored.
And we are bringing you a review of Inventions, Evolution of Ideas by Lacerda.
Yes. So this will be the last of our 8 ratings videos for the Lacerda games. If you didn't know, we did others. There's 7 more before this, all launched on YouTube already.
Yep.
We also did a rankings video where we, as Bald and Board individually, went through from 8th to 1st what our preferences was. What I will say, not saying the number, but this is the only game we have the exact same placement on.
Yep.
All of the other 7 are in varying placements. This is the only one we matched.
It is.
So that's to say something. We both agreed on how it all fit together.
And you will now get to find out why. So in our review videos, if this is the first one you're watching, we do review games over 6 different categories, and then we take those 6 and get an average, and that is our final individual score. We then take the average of our individual scores for each category and get a final Bald and Board game score, which does condense down to that final average amongst all those to give us a score telling us if we are going to recommend a game as a Bald and Board game certified must play or a certified don't play. So you have to stay tuned to the end of the video to figure out which one this is. But we're going to be reviewing this game on 5 categories, not 6, because there is no story involved in this one. So the 5 categories are rulebook, gameplay, components, design, and storage. So let's jump right in to the rulebook.
Yeah, so the rulebook, I gave this a 5. So this rulebook, as you can see here on the table, has something a lot of the others don't. So across Lacerda, we've given out a bunch of 5s for rulebooks. And we just did Weather Machine, which I gave... Yes, we did. Weather Machine we just did. And I gave that like a 5+ I called out. This one is a 5++. Because this has key concepts right in the beginning of the rulebook, which I think is phenomenal. So before you even dig into how do you play and everything, it just calls out, here's a bunch of stuff you're going to hear about in the game, and here's what they all mean. So a lot of times these key concepts might be in different sections, and you have to go searching. We had a lot of games where we're like, oh, what's this one thing mean? And we got to go certain. Right here, it's all laid out, which is super nice. For the gameplay and the round structure, it nicely goes through. So if you want to do the invent action, it goes through 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly what happens. And left to right on the bottom gives an example exactly how it works. On top of that, you have player aids. The player aid goes through all the different things that you can do, exactly how it works, and for all the tiles that you will see in the game, which there are many, it gives you a personalized player aid of those tiles and different things. So you have everything in the palm of your hands once you start the game in figuring out how to proceed. And on top of that, the game board, literally everything that's listed on here is listed on the game board. So if you do this action, you do 1, 2, 3, and so on. So everything is clear cut as long as you understand the symbols.
Yep. I entirely agree. I gave rulebook a 5 as well for all of these same points. For clarity's sake, like the descriptions of what each thing means are very to the point, and then you have your example with an image right below it. So you go, okay, and boom example, okay, and boom example, just all the way through the book. So you're never having to try and visualize yourself like, okay, when they say this, is it that thing or is it this thing? It's just super clear. And then, yeah, if needed, you have those player aids which help you throughout the game. For whatever reason, I don't know why they did it, but I think it's nice that the one that goes over the different forums, so the different, essentially the action centers, is on that really nice punch board. And it's probably because they assumed you're going to use this a lot. So instead of making this paper, they're like, you know what, let's just make it something sturdy they can flip over easily enough. So, superb job. 5 from me. Alrighty. For gameplay, I gave this a 5 as well. So, I love the way this whole inventions thing works, where an invention gets proposed by somebody else makes it, and then somebody else can elaborate on it. And that creates whatever it is. The person who makes it gets that card into their whole invention stack, which then in turn helps their civilization later on invent other things. I like this whole system with moving your scientists or your scholars, I forget what they're called, around from each of the continents. think they're scholars, I don't know.
Yeah.
But going from place to place around the board to try and have presence there to, you know, I forget exactly what your presence does specifically, but
Citizens.
your citizens, having them there to do what you have to do to kind of keep the extra individual that's there, and then the whole track over here of inventions that are coming out based on their specific era that the world is in. So you could end up making something yourself, and this is something that you'll have access to. Like you have this knowledge. Somebody else can come and learn from you. So then they can use that to help them make something. I like this whole idea that the world is slowly progressing and you are inventing some things ahead of other people to advance your own civilization that in turn will help out others at some point, but you get a leg forward in electricity or paper or what have you. And if you want to put one of the boards on here. So then board here has one of the player boards where you have another little like mini game thing going on inside the bigger game where you're putting tiles down on this that also specifically help you advance your civilization by giving you other things that'll like be bonuses you can spend or discounts on tiles you're putting here, which will give you other things later on. And I love all of that gameplay to where it's not really a competitive or a cooperative thing. It's a strictly competitive game where you just try to use what other people are doing to your advantage. Yep. And that I love that. I love the last thing. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. I like the action selection as well, where you have your pillars that get placed down, and you have big pillars and small pillars. If I can find a small one in here.
Epic pillar.
Whatever. I will use a small purple one. But so you have your pillars, right? And no, this should be annoying unless I can have an orange one. There we go. That's all I need. That's it.
No, you need.
No, I just wanted to demonstrate this one thing. Oh. So you have your main pillar, your epic pillar, right? Which will get put down somewhere, and only you can put your epic pillar in that spot. Someone else has to put theirs, somewhere else. During the game, you cannot place one of the other pillars here or even in the same row. I think that is a fascinating thing. I forget what happens if you do place yours in the same row as somebody else. I think there's an extra cost or something like that. But that is a very fun idea to where that action selection with the initial pillar really can make the difference as you go on through the game. All right, you can talk now.
So I gave gameplay a 5 as well.
Okay.
Absolutely love, again, action selection. There's 10 things. They all kind of do something a little different, but they also correlate. To Nick's point, you have these 3 here, which are putting an idea down, building upon it, influencing it, and sharing the inventions. Mm-hmm. I do love the style of all of these cards where, I have origin of language. Now I can propose the idea for making a book where if this isn't out there, you can't do that. Yep. So there is that reliance on certain technologies or cultural or scientific advancements to propose certain ideas. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely love that. I love the fact that as you're progressing, on top of what you can gain from the invention, there's other things you can do. So you can travel the world, and that helps you. To Nick's point, you have this mini map. So the mini map gives you the bonuses you see here, but also you're putting down the tiles that you see in this part of the player aid. Mm-hmm. So you can focus on technology, you can focus on culture, you can focus on economy or wealth. So you can build out however you want. So the benefit is too, you can only have certain amounts available. So if you focus on one thing, that prevents your opponent from doing it.
Yep.
So you can kind of alter your strategy to block your opponent or just take your own route and just go with it. I do love the fact that you're progressing the ages. So that's the A through F or A through G, whatever the letters are.
And you can end up being behind in the times or ahead of the times.
Yeah. So I do love how you can progress there. You'll get bonuses as you move up. If you're the first one to do so, you get better choices, and that impacts turn order. You gain, again, victory points based on how you do different things, as well as endgame. So there's a lot going on, but I do love the concept of starting from the Stone Age and going era by era as the world progresses to see if you are ahead of the times, behind the times, or even with the times. The last thing I'll call out, and this is why this game is as high rated as it is for me, especially in gameplay, is I love the video game Civilization by Firaxis, and this is very reminiscent of that, where I have a single, let's say, citizen, I have a very basic technology or something I've learned knowledge base, and I just have to build upon that and pick my route. Do I focus on science? Do I focus on culture? Do I focus on travel? And just make do with what you got.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, every person, every player starts off with some form of like inventions or technology they're trying to get made or that they know that nobody else has, and you have to start from there.
Yeah,
which is, to your point, like Civ, it's so much fun. It adds so much variety at the beginning of the game, which is great. Okay, components.
I gave this a 5.
All right.
So the components for the game board are all hexagonal. They fit super nicely into this little mini board.
Yeah.
As you have right there, boom. So everything fits perfectly. You can easily tell the symbols on each one. They're sturdy enough to fit in, and this, as a component itself, the game board does have that dual layer where you can put those down here and then move them on. You'll have individuals from our own little player trays here. Of course, I didn't grab one. That are active and then inactive, and they just easily slide down. So I love that component structure where it's not like stand up and tilt sideways. I know us as someone who streams these games, we don't really want them standing up because you can't see them as viewers. So the fact that it just moves from one section to the other, love that. Everything that kind of goes on the board, the pillars are really cool. The fact that these cards are solid wood, that they just slide or cardboard.
That'd be insane if they were wood.
Yeah, just slice. But solid cardboard.
That's not where I was going.
Just take someone out with it. This is solid. I like the cards. The fact that they are cards is perfectly fine. Some games I wouldn't like this, but they fit super nicely next to your board as you're doing different things. I think everything is perfect in the component range here.
Yeah.
And the colors all match the players pretty well.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
I completely agree. I give this a 5 also for components. Player board, again, I'm a big stickler on the player board. So being dual layered and sturdy is amazing. Everything being hexagonal to where it fits nicely together is spectacular. The variety in the different pieces, is very clear on what they're for. Yep. Down to, just literally everything has some sort of silk screening on it, so you know what it's used for. The cards are that same nice canvas finish to the card. And then what I like about these cards is they're small. Like, they don't need to be regular sized cards. They are small, and they honestly could have been smaller and still been just as clear. But this is great because they're easier to handle, and they are exactly the size that they need to be. They go on the board easily enough. They fit next to your board easily enough, which is spectacular. And you have the different invention tiles you have here are nice solid tiles. Great. The different types of, so you have your citizens. I think these are the scholars that you can get throughout the game.
Those are the ones that
are different colors. Those are the ones that sit there. Yeah. And then when you have whatever you chain action,
them.
You get it. Wonderful. In this one, we do have a deluxe Kronos, who is like hefty.
Yeah.
Which is fun. The base game comes with a Kronos wooden figure that is just as cool, like design wise. But yeah, everything here, you can tell full thought went into every aspect of each and every component. And that's why it got a 5 for me as well.
All right. And then sliding right into the design of everything now.
Yes. Design. I give it a 5 also. The board is beautiful. I think it does what Weather Machine did really well in its illustrative work, in fitting kind of the genre that it's in, down like this old-timey map section, and then this kind of just like floral like design section that's over here. I think what this does do better is it's not overly complicated and messy like the weather machine that Board pointed out. The iconography is very clear as to what you're influencing and what you're doing. I think the only one that we got confused on one time was these two.
Yeah.
Because they are similar. It's just the image, but that is a very small thing. The artwork on all the tiles is very clear and makes sense. The design of these individual like hexagonal tiles, again, very, very clear. You know exactly what they're saying, in chaining, do this for that or that for this. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to stop. So again, the invention cards here, same thing as the tiles, very clear. They actually depict what the invention is, which is a big thing. For some of these, you have the one side that is that grade side, and then when you do it, you flip it over, and you have the actual invented side. Over here, this whole area of like things being strung together and like where you have to be to do, one of these invention things down here, it's just so clear, so fun to look at, not intimidating at all, which I think is really important.
Yeah. So I gave this a 5 as well. Similar comments. Yeah. The fact that, and this is from comments made earlier, this is not flavor text, but we'll call it flavor image. It says transportation, has a picture that correlates to transportation. Same thing, control fire. Someone's making fire. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they took that extra work and actually made imagery that matched the verbiage, like it could have just been the word transportation, a big old white chunk of whatever this was, took up the rest of the space. Yep. But they actually made it look like whatever the name is calling it out to be. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the cards. The whole board, really well designed. The whole globe map here, I like how they did it like this and not in a circle like CO2. Mm-hmm. I did like CO2's version for that game. Mm-hmm. But for this game, I like how it's laid out here, that you can travel amongst the different continents, that you have all of the action things here nicely displayed out. There is imagery, but it's not overwhelming. Like there's plenty of blank space where you're not killed with pictures and colors.
It gives your eyes time to rest.
Yeah. For the player board, again, everything is nicely laid out in colors and design. Everything was perfect.
That was a 5 from you as well, huh? All right. And storage.
Storage. As you can see, we have individual player trays. We have trays here for all of the hexagons, and they have tops on them, which is nice.
And they all stack nicely
and they all
in that
stack.
one section.
I gave this a 5. Yeah, everything has its own spot. They all stack really well. Things don't really move around. Yeah, there's empty space here, but it's not like the cards are flying around. We didn't really have that issue. All of the little hexagonals tiles have their space. Everything lays in really well. I think this is one of the games, regardless of how we've stored it, it still comes out how we put it back.
Yeah, the only things that have shifted ever so slightly are probably like these tiles a little bit, probably between those, but even that, I don't think it's even really been that much. I gave it a 5 also, because everything has its place. These tiles not only have their own storage device to put them in, but they then have a spot to put all of those in that's nice and flush. Just like keeping that suit, like these things don't budge whatsoever, which is amazing. These tiles over here, I said they can move around. Guess what? They're all the same, so it doesn't matter if they move around at all up and down this thing. Yeah. These having their spots like A and B, C and D, E and F, they all fit in their own sections. All these cards, and there's extra space for all the cards that are here, and the objective cards here you can separate. Oh my goodness. You have your tiles here, super nice. I love being able to take out everyone's trays individually, as you know from the other review videos. These guys here, just tossing together, that's fine, because these all end up coming out, or they're extra pieces, or they're used specifically for solo, like Hephaestus here, which we don't use for the main game. So it's just easy to get on the table, easy to put away. 5 for me.
Nice. What I'll say, unless you've already done the math yourself, before we give our final averages for Bald and Board, this average will probably never happen again between the two of us. Also, as you probably know from games we play, there's some games Nick buys with his interest, some I buy my interest.
Yep.
there's a lot of games I've bought that I do not give 5s to. Like my Ring of Chaos is one of the big ones I had a high hopes for, and it ended up being like a 3. I hated it.
Oh yeah.
Mostly.
I agree.
I have high hopes for more games coming in. We'll see what happens in another few weeks. But this is an interesting scenario.
Yeah. So clearly you've been doing the math. You know, we have 5s across the board. So my average is 5. Your average is 5 as well. We wholeheartedly agree on our score of 5 for Inventions, Evolution of Ideas. Now, I don't think we need to go through the Bald and Board Games average for each category.
Nope.
5s across the board for Bald and Board Games, which makes this clearly a Bald and Board Games certified must-play. And so far, the first, it may be the only for a very long time or ever, that we have a 5 on a Bald and Board Games certified must-play across the board. Perfect game. Fun every time we played it. Learning it was fun. I don't think there was a scenario where anyone got super far ahead to where it wasn't fun. Like, there's just, they really balanced us well. The game like this, which is his most recent one, makes me very excited to see what he's doing with Speakeasy coming out next, see if he learned those same lessons. Because if he did, Speakeasy could be another one that ends up at that mark.
Maybe. You gotta wait about a year to find out.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh no, actually, this would be live in 2025, so you gotta wait about a year.
Yeah,
we have to wait about a year and a half.
It'll be hard to top this one, I think, with any other game. Obviously, we play a bunch. We'll keep playing more and more. Because if anything tips something down to 4.5, that immediately drops it below 5. The way our rating system works, as you know from watching them, is we round down, not up. So if you are at 4.98, you're considered a 4.5 because you didn't quite cut it.
Yep.
Any last words about the evolution of ideas?
No, I'm glad Vitalis sort of made this game. I said, as a player of Civilization, this easily would have pushed it up anyway. But overall, phenomenal game. Really enjoyable. A lot of fun. Things to think of and play through. Definitely would play this multiple times again.
Absolutely. And that is why it's a Bald and Board Game certified must play with a perfect score. I may have to make a special symbol that says perfect across the
fireworks go off
or something, just like Bald and Board Games. Perfect. What is like at the end of a fighting game when you don't take any damage. All right, everyone. Let us know your thoughts on Inventions, Evolution of Ideas, and go watch our other review videos of the Vitalis Lacerda series and let us know if you think differently. Do a ranking yourself and let us know what your rankings are for the 8 games that we played, and maybe even throw in some ones that we didn't play. If you have any recommendations for us, if anything that's similar to this, definitely let us know as well. We love talking to you. But thank you for joining us here at Bald and Board Games for our review Invention, Evolution of Ideas by Vitalis Lacerda. I'm Bald.
I'm Board.
Play your games.